In the history of television, no show did death scenes with more panache than Breaking Bad. Think of Gus's last moments, with half his face blown off after his arch-nemesis, Hector Salamanca, detonated a bomb under his wheelchair. Walter White's slow and bloody exit as he sentimentally communes with his meth-making equipment. Hank Schrader's demise at the hands of neo-Nazis in the desert, punctuated with a defiant F-bomb. At long last, Better Call Saul has contributed to this pantheon. Nacho Varga's farewell in Rock and Hard Place, as the episode is fittingly titled, was wrenching, tense, violent, sad, filled with pathos and unforgettable. While on the run in Mexico, he decides that the only way to save his father's life is to dutifully return and confess to the Salamancas right before they kill him. Tough assignment, but like all of Nacho's tough assignments, he doesn't have a choice in the matter. And once again, he over-delivers. Had he half-heartedly mumbled the falsehood that Peruvian drug lords put him up to the Lalo hit, the cloud of suspicion over Gus would have lingered. So instead, Nacho clears Gus by suggesting that the chicken man lacked the guts and guile to arrange Lalo's murder. What's more, he goes on, Gus saved Hector's life by intervening when Nacho tried to kill Hector by switching out his heart meds for sugar pills. This is a nice, exculpating touch because it happens to be true. Nacho wanders way off script only when he cuts loose his zip-tied hands and threatens to kill Don Bolsa, right before committing suicide. Nacho wanted to demonstrate a modest amount of agency in a professional life that has been dictated by a rotating group of murderous sociopaths. This was a pawn telling a king, "I could kill you." Nacho got the zip-tie cutting shank from the glass that Gus broke in the previous episode, which sat in a garbage bin in the office at the chicken farm. The tip-off is that kaleidoscopic shot of Nacho's face, as though the camera were shooting through glass in the bin. The shard shows up in the episode's open sequence as the camera pans across the desert landscape, where Nacho's bullet-ridden body once lay, one of those bafflers that makes sense only when the end credits start rolling. In the run-up to his death, Nacho has a few final torments to endure. These include hiding in an oil tanker, under a puddle of oil, and getting beaten up by Mike, so he looks appropriately bruised when it's showtime. If Nacho experiences any joy in this episode, it's during the brief phone call to his father. He's relieved to learn that the man is alive, or at least not a captive, and he gets to say goodbye. Nacho made some terrible life choices, but like Jesse Pinkman in Breaking Bad, he is over-punished for them. It's hard to think of a single moment of his life, visible to viewers, that looked satisfying. When he wasn't being chased, threatened, shot, or beaten up, he was in a state of abject terror or despair. So, a salute here to Michael Mando, whose Nacho was a study in bottled-up anguish, a character roiled by emotions that were evidenced only by superhuman efforts to contain them. As a character, he gets to express rage only in the final seconds of his life, and it erupts out of him like lava. It would have been great to see more of this stellar actor, but if you must leave a show, a more dramatic and affecting end is hard to imagine. On the white-collar side of our story, Jimmy and Kim are stealing Howard's car as part of their continuing campaign to frame him as a drug abuser. Once again, Huel Babineau, Lavelle Crawford, is hired to pick a pocket and help create a copy of Howard's car keys. When Jimmy conveys this plan to Kim, "I've got it, the lace scam," it has an aphrodisiac-like effect on her. She suddenly gets amorous. It's just one small hint that she's on her way to a state of mind that could be described as criminally rotten. This is especially obvious in her conversation with Assistant District Attorney Suzanne Ericson, Julie Pearl, who tries to convince her that Jimmy should talk about his putatively deceased client, Lalo, and help prosecutors and police nail the part of the Mexican cartel that's still in Albuquerque. Ericson seems to believe that Kim is more susceptible than Jimmy to moral suasion. Wrong. When Kim conveys this conversation to Jimmy, she plays it anything but straight. "Do you want to be a friend of the cartel?" she says when Jimmy asks for her advice, "or do you want to be a rat?" Interesting way to frame it. Keep in mind that although this show was off the air for 2 years, the end of Season 5 and the opening of Season 6 take place within a few days of each other. Jimmy has barely lost the sunburn he acquired while legging $7 million through the desert at the end of Season 5, And before that fool's errand, Kim begged Jimmy to rethink the whole idea of working for drug kingpins south of the border. So what accounts for Kim's radical transformation?